Good evening. Look at all these lovely faces. I'm seeing faces in Cape Town. I'm seeing faces abroad, those of us who have been in the bloody rain all day, actually not so cold, but just in the rain in the northern hemisphere. And a warm welcome to those in the southern hemisphere, where I think you've been having a beautiful day. So, a very warm welcome to everybody. And I'm excited for tonight because we haven't had this masterclass before. And Taryn, who is going to be hosting tonight, a very warm welcome to Taryn. Taryn has been a student at the school with us. She is a tutor on the psychic development, she's a tutor on the healing course, but she's also a breakthrough coach and a tarot reader, amongst many, many other things. So I'm not going to say too much. I'm sure she's going to introduce herself. So what we're going to do this evening, just for housekeeping purposes, please keep your questions to the end, but there will be times when you are invited to share your experience, because we're not just going to listen to Taryn tonight. I believe she's got some work for us to do as well. So I'm looking forward to figuring out what is my mind and what is my intuition, because the talk tonight is about that, and I think mine are very closely intertwined. And I'm excited to hear the mechanics about the differentiation between the two and when we use what. So I'm not the expert on this. Taryn is the expert. Over to you, Taryn, and really enjoy tonight. And the audience, you really enjoyed tonight as well.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am super excited to be here tonight and to be in communion with you so we can commune with our souls and communicate with our souls and really, really explore our intuition. So, as Cindy said, my name is Taryn Nightingale. I am an energy healer. I'm a psychic and I do teach at the school. And I also run my own private practice where I do psychic and tarot readings as well as energy healing. But the work that I would say is probably the most fulfilling to me and has allowed me to really step into the most vulnerable, but also the most confident, most expressive, the most in alignment with my truest expression has been the work that I launched this year, which is called The Vessel, which is a soul alignment group container in which we do work where we specifically commune with your soul, communicate with your soul, understand your soul, so you can connect to your highest timeline. And the reason I share this with you is because when I launched this work, it all came from my intuition. Listening to my intuition's guidance, the steps it gave me, where it told me I needed to be, what I needed to slow down on, who I needed to interact with, where I needed to take a move, where I needed to follow an idea, when things were a yes and when they were a no. So there's several pillars to the work we do in the vessel, but one of the key aspects is really understanding your intuition and working with your intuition really consciously. So anyone who's here who's really keen on communing with their soul and communing with their highest expression and their truest expression, if you are one of those people, please put a heart in the comment section just to confirm that. That would be lovely to see that. Hello, Elisa. Lovely to see you from Cape Town. So I'm just going to say that again. If you really want to connect with your soul, really communicate with your soul and be more in alignment with your truest path. Yes, I'm seeing blue hearts, 3 hearts from Doug, another heart from Tatiana. Beautiful. All right. So what I've already started sharing with you is a little bit into why you'd want to connect with your intuition and why it's a good idea to have a good relationship with your intuition and understand how it works, right? What I like to always say about intuition is that it is the language of the soul. I don't know if you heard me earlier. I said it's being in communion with the soul. And when I talk about being in communion, I'm talking about sharing messages and experiences with your soul, right? Now, our soul is that part of us that is connected to the truest part, right? The truest of everything, the creator, God, source, divinity, infinite intelligence, whichever way you resonate with that, right? And if we're in alignment with that truth, we're in alignment with our truth and expressing that truth in reality. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into defining intuition as we move along. But so you know what we're going to do for the rest of tonight's hour that we share together. I'm going to teach you about the 5 key differences between the mind and the intuition. And these 5 key differences are actually the key aspects of intuition and really help you identify it and identify it when it's communicating with you and when it's present. And then I'm also going to talk to you about 3 different types of intuition, okay? And the deeper work you do with your intuition, these start becoming clearer and clearer. But each type of intuition has its own significance in your life and your journey and your path. And then finally, we're going to end off with an exercise where you get to connect with your intuition and get some guidance for next year for yourselves. Okay, so your bodies are all here. You signed up. Some of you may have had a difficult day, maybe a stressful day, a day where things didn't go the way that you wanted it to go. Maybe you had a beautiful day and everything flowed. Now, neither of it matters. We're all here now, and there's a reason your body got you to this space, right? There's a reason your body actually got you in this chair, in the Zoom room. And the best way that you can get 100% benefit of what we're going to explore tonight is for you to show up fully and be 100%. So that doesn't mean if you've had a bad day that I'm trying to get you to dance around and feel like you're the most excited person on the planet. What I'm inviting is that you work with what you've got. So if you've had a bit of a rough day, that's okay, but be 100%, okay? And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to invite you to share your intention. So you might not know why you're here, but I'm going to ask you to take a moment. Some of you might have an idea why you're here already, right? And I'm going to ask you to take about 20 seconds to just sense why you're here and then share that in the chat with us. And that can be as simple as I just want to be able to identify my intuition, or I just want to do something different, whatever that is. Maybe it's a bigger intention that you want to start listening to your intuition more and let it guide you. Whatever it is for you, it's appropriate. So I'm going to ask you right now, think about that for a couple of seconds. And when I'm going to give you about 20 seconds to think about that. And then as soon as you're ready, if you're ready now, you can start sharing that in the chat. I'm looking for clarification with my life. Okay, perfect. I want to learn more about what intuition is and how I can use it in my life. That's lovely. Connect with my intuition to be in flow with the universe. Beautiful. To hone and refine this tool in me. Lovely. Excellent. To help my mediumship and help me in the, okay, get ruled by my mind. Need to get in touch with my gut. Okay. To find me more, especially on a deeper level, just to connect, step away from the analytical mind. Lovely. These are all really clear and really grounded, anchoring intentions, which is great. I love that. Awesome. Okay, so these are really beautiful, lovely intentions to start to enter this work and into this space with. For those of you who are still putting it in the chat, just keep going. I'm going to continue and I'm going to start sharing my screen. All right, so intuition versus the mind. So where do we start? We've got to start at the beginning, right? And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story because understanding intuition has a lot to do with my story and my path. And you'll find in my story how that very likely resonates with you. So I was born very awake, I would say, very connected to, I would say, my true self. I had a lot of spiritual gifts that were online. I had a strong gift for claircognizance. I would see sacred geometry. I would meet people, know things about them. I used to astral travel when I was a little girl. And I used to have a lot of spirits, and like Cindy likes to say, dead rallies come to me when I was little. And the world felt really magical to me, without a question. It just felt magical. And I thought that was the same for everyone else. And when I started sharing my experiences and what I was seeing and what I was observing and what I knew as a little girl with the adults around me, people got really uncomfortable because they didn't understand it. And so they responded with a lot of fear. And what that meant for me when I was a little girl, because obviously I'm looking to the people around me as a role model, as a guideline of how do I operate in this physical reality, I started feeling shame about my gifts and how I experienced the world and around my perception and what it was that I was experiencing and around my truth. So I started suppressing it. And I started living and expressing the narrative and the story that was a lot more comfortable for everybody else. For me, that meant becoming a straight A student because when I was, my parents responded really well to that, right? And I was safe. So I'd invite you to take a little bit of a moment. How did you do that? What did you maybe have to do to survive reality, right? To create some sort of safety for yourself. But I always had this feeling, this knowing that I wasn't really being myself. I couldn't quite articulate it, but it was there. It was hidden beneath all those narratives. Okay. And it took me 7 career changes before I found my purpose. Before I finally landed up in energy healing and working with spirit, that I finally went, this is my thing. And I moved from acting to working in a warehouse to being a news editor to content marketing to starting my own little PR company. So there were a lot of changes. But what was key was that each time there was a shift and there was a change, I had a nudging. I had a feeling about what I needed to do. I'll give you an example. I worked as an editor in a newsroom, and it was for a business to business publication. And the publication was a print publication, right? So they printed their newspaper. And 3 months before they closed, I had this feeling that I needed to go. And when I left, I went in the right energy because I went from an energy of empowerment. Whereas if I had stayed and not listened to that intuitive nudging, I would have been in a space where I would have been shocked, kind of lost my job, right? And I wouldn't have been in the right energy to make the right decision. So that's just one example how my intuition guided me. And it did every time I shifted careers, right? So the reason I also share this story with you is to understand how we sort of have 2 paths presented to us, right? We often have that path of, I've been told this about life. I've been conditioned this about life. Maybe you've been programmed to believe certain things. Maybe you've been told things about reality, about what it means to be successful, about what it means to do the right thing, about what it means to be a good person. And some of these things are not bad. They can be well intentioned, but the question is, do they align with you? Are they in alignment with your truth? And are they going to bring you the greatest fulfillment? Right? So there's that one path. And that's often our conditioned narratives, what we've been told, what gets stored in the mind. Right? And then there's the other, which is that path of the inner knowing, the path of following your intuition, the path of being in communion with your soul, with your truth. And if we we listen to the one, we end up going down that path, which can have a little bit of success here and there. But again, I ask the question, is it giving you your highest fulfillment? Is it giving you the opportunity to be on your highest timeline? Because it's not the same for everyone, right? Is it giving you what you uniquely need, what's in alignment with your soul? So, Albert Einstein, as much as he's a scientist, also very imaginative and highly, highly intuitive. Albert Einstein said, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. So we listen more to our minds than we do to the gift that we're given, the truth of ourselves that lives within us, right? I'd like to say, in addition to what Albert says, and it's a little bit not in alignment, but a little bit to the right of what he says, is society has also conditioned us that harmony is sameness, that in order for us to live on the planet, we all need to be the same, right? But I believe harmony exists within. Harmony, when we're in communion, within harmony within ourselves, then we bring that energy to the world. All right, so let's start going into how do we define intuition. So I've seen in some of your intentions, some of you mentioned trusting your gut, that's come up for you a little bit. I've already touched a bit on what I mean by communion with the soul, and I've mentioned that intuition is the language of the soul. Now, anyone care to share in the chat section, what does intuition mean to you? And there's no right or wrong answer, right? The more that you can engage with the idea of intuition and be open to how you see and understand it, the more you open yourself to learning and exploring and understanding it on a deeper level. So I'd love to see some comments in the chat. What does intuition mean for you? Let's see. Okay. A knowing, yes, lovely. What else? Anyone else like to share? Just something you know, a gut feeling. Yes, just something you know. Pops in something that pops into your mind about something. Yes. Listen to the inner voice. Yes. All true. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper into that. So if we look at the simple definition of intuition, it's the direct perception of a truth without a step-by-step reasoning process. So a lot of you mentioned just that knowing, just knowing something. So that's exactly what it is. Just being able to know a truth without having to go, this is the reason why, this is why it makes sense, all of that. Just having that knowing. Now, what's key in this definition is that word truth, right? And as I mentioned earlier, the highest truth is the divine, right? Infinite intelligence, the soul being the part most connected to the divine. So if we're listening to our soul, being in communion with our soul, we're following that soul path, that truest path, our highest expression. So I like to just bring that in because it's really important to understand that intuition is really connected with that true part of you, right? Now, if we look at the word itself, it also gives us beautiful clues as to what the word means. It's made up of two words, intuition. So the first, in, where's that existing? It points to the internal, right? To here, not out here, not what's happening in the world, not what's happening with our family, our lovers, our friends, our work colleagues, or even just in the circumstances and events we're perceiving. It's really pointing inward, so to the internal, to the home in yourself. So one of the things I always teach my clients is to recognize everything you experience starts here at home. And at home being you, yourself, you, your world right here. Okay. So that's a very key thing to understand about intuition. It's with you. Tuition is the second part of that word, right? And that means teaching or lessons as well as instruction. So there's two aspects to the synonyms of tuition is that there's this teaching and lesson aspect, so learning those lessons, but then instruction being guidance, maybe a GPS system, so something pointing you in a particular direction, pointing you on your path. So when we look at those two words and combine them to intuition, your intuition is really so much deeper than just a feeling, so much more than just a gut. Yes, that's part of it, but it's I want to say 5D. It's got this 5D experience, right? So your intuition is your unique guiding system and your unique curriculum. So it's really important to understand that unique element. Remember, we're talking about you. So the deeper connection you have with that, the more it's going to reveal your guidance to you and also on a deeper level, the lessons and the understanding and the knowing that you get. Knowing being also learning about the world, learning what your soul wants to learn. Okay. So, this is just reminding us about what communion is to share intimate experiences or messages, and having that in terms of the lessons we learn, as well as that instruction, that guidance, that GPS. All right. So, now I'm going to move into understanding the difference between the intuition and the mind. And the way I like to explain it, and this is to help you remember it, is by working with a visual. And I've got the visual here of the heart and the brain. So the heart representing the intuition. So if we even think about what we spoke about earlier in terms of understanding the definition of intuition, which really is really strongly connected and related to your truth, your authenticity. Think of that phrase, the heart of the matter, right? When we want to get to the core of something, the truth of something, we think of the heart, right? And when we think of the heart, I want you to just look at the structure of the heart. It's whole. It is one whole piece, right? It is one whole organ here. There's no other, it's not broken up into sections. It is whole. Whereas when we look at the brain, it's got two different sides. And I'm going to dive deeper into the two different sides of the brain as I explain how the mind works. But this is giving us a big clue into how the two operate differently. Here we've got a whole, and here we've got two different sides. And why this is important is we want to remember this in terms of polarization. With the brain, we've got the left and the right side, right? And if we're thinking polarization, we're thinking black, white, right, wrong, good, bad. And that's how the mind works. It works in that polarized way. Okay, so this is going to bring us to our first understanding of the first aspect of intuition. It's subtle. So if we think of the heart, it's very rarely, unless you're super stressed, that you're going to hear your heartbeat being. You're often not really aware of it. It's there. We know it's there. And you don't question that it's there, right? I like to explain this in another way too, is think of the most attractive person you know. And this can be a celebrity, someone in your life, someone you find really attractive. Anybody want to share who they find really attractive? And it can be in any way. Okay, you don't have to. If you're brave enough, more than welcome to do that. But I tell you why I invite you to think about that is often the people who are most attractive to us are very much themselves, right? They're not having to be like, hey, look at me. I'm so special. I'm so special. Pay attention to me. They often have that magnetic quality, right? And whatever conviction we see in them, it really has to do with their presence because they're rooted in their center, in themselves, in their truth. Now, intuition has the same quality. It has the quality of truth. That's why it's subtle. It doesn't need to explain itself. It doesn't need to be in front of you and say, hey, look at me. It's truth. It exists, it exists, it exists. It knows itself, and it knows that because it's true, it does not need to explain itself. Whereas if we look at the mind is loud. We all have heard that phrase of being in our heads or that noisy monkey mind. And that is really how the mind functions, right? Very, very loud. Okay. Sometimes we can have thoughts that can be so overpowering and can be really loud in our head. Very key difference between the two. The second is that intuition is not pushy. So intuition is never going to say to you, hey, Cindy, you know what? You should start that new idea that you have and work on that project. And this is why, and this is why, and this is why, and this is why. And you know, you better do it today. And if you don't do it today, I'm never going to be friends with you ever, ever again. Intuition doesn't have that quality. And when I'm giving you these key aspects of intuition and the differences between the two, I'm really also inviting you to remember these are qualities, right? These are characteristics, and often they can present themselves energetically. So intuition is not pushy. It's not going to bully you into a decision. It simply goes, look over here. What about this? Whereas the mind is incredibly pushy. Your mind will push you and try and convince you of stories, possibilities, scenarios, and fears. Remember that polarization aspect? So it plays out there. One day you may think, okay, this is a really, really, really good idea. And then the next day you have the opposite opinion. Who's ever been in a situation like that where your mind has said one day it has a great story about something and then the next not so great? Yeah. Okay, so this takes us on to our third key difference, which is that the intuition is consistent and the mind, it's polarized. So different stories, different perspectives. So like I said, we'll tell you one story today and then the complete opposite tomorrow. Your intuition, it stays consistent. So just think of that heartbeat, right? The rhythm of the heartbeat, doo-doof, 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 stays the same. It repeats the same knowing, the same feeling, the same truth. The mind, black and white. One day this, next day that. This is really good. No, it's really bad. And it can often pull you from one side to the other. Okay. Now we move to the fourth key difference. Intuition leaves you feeling relaxed. There's a relief that comes with following your intuition. And this is even when the guidance goes against the grain, goes against the unexpected. You'll feel relief in your body when you hear it and you listen to it. So just a key thing I'd like to put in here. When I showed you the picture of the heart, very important to understand with the heart is actually the first organ that forms when we're being created and being created in our mother's wombs, right? It's the first part of us that develops. The brain develops much later. So that's that connection of the heart to the truth, right? But before the brain even develops, the second thing that comes into existence in the womb is the inner ear. And that gives you a really key idea about intuition. It's the inner ear, right? It's that inner listening. So the heart, the truth, and that listening is very key with intuition. So when we listen to our intuition, to this guidance that's coming through to us, through this knowing that's coming to us, you will feel relief in your body when you hear it, when you listen to it. Your nervous system will relax and soften. Intuition leaves you feeling relief and relaxed. Good way to remember it is when you think of when you are relaxed and you have that Exhale moment, right? Where is that happening? It's happening here in the chest area, in the heart area, where, and that's intuition working. The mind keeps you in a loop, or it needs to have things in boxes. Things need to make sense. So the mind and the frequency of the mind really is very focused on organization and organizing things and making sense of things. And that frequency is often very contracted because to make sense of things, it always needs to fit a box, right? It needs to fit a box. It needs to have reason. It needs to have rules. It needs to have logic. So it can feel constricted and it can sometimes have a very linear way of seeing things and doing things. Okay. One's expansive, one's constricted. And now this brings us to our final difference. Intuition is going to break patterns. It's a bit of a disruptor. And if you think about the truth of something is going to get you to move. It's going to get you out of a pattern, right? The truth moves us, the truth flows. And because when we call it the disruptor, it's because it's not following convention. It's not following the usual rules. It's following you. It's following your uniqueness. So it's not always going to be in line with what you've been taught. And note I say always. And as the language of the soul and as an expression of the soul and how we're in communion with the soul, it follows expansion and adventure. So often moves us away from what is predictable. We can only predict what we have seen and experienced before, right? Our soul wants expansion and adventure. So sometimes it's going to lead us into the unknown and lead us into a space that doesn't really follow the rules on something. I'll give you an example. One of my clients in the vessel, they had been wanting to manifest a job that was double the income that they were earning. And 3 months prior to what I'm about to tell you that happened, they had applied for a job, gone to a couple of interviews, and then eventually just never heard back from the organization that they wanted to work at. And they were in the vessel, they were in the container for a little bit, started working with their intuition, and they got this guidance that they needed to reach out. And they were like, oh, no, I can't do it. It's already been like it's been months since I've heard from them. This would just be really weird because if they really wanted me to work there, they would have let me know. But his intuition was consistent and yes, was the disruptor because it didn't follow what was logical. It didn't follow what made sense. He then listened to that, acted on that, and he got the job. And he got that double his income that he wanted. That would have not happened if he listened to logic, right? But he followed his intuition. So the mind, it follows loops. It follows patterns, it follows rules, and it follows evidence. Your mind goes off what it has been fed, what it has been taught. And sometimes maybe that's a good thing, but sometimes what it's been fed and what it's been taught is a old conditioned story. Sometimes that story is coming from past pain or trauma. Sometimes it's coming from keeping you safe because of an uncomfortable environment. Sometimes it's coming off other people's perspectives of reality, and their perspective of reality isn't necessarily what is going to serve you. Okay, so those are the 5 key differences. We'll go over them one more time before we do the exercise. But now there's 3 different types of intuition. And the first is one that we're all really familiar with, one that most people have experienced. And that's this is the gut feel that everybody knows. And that's the intuition that tells you either stop or go. It's that intuition, that part of you that knows when this is not a good idea. It's that part of you that when you're walking down an alleyway and you're about to turn right, and maybe you've walked this road many times before, but all of a sudden you're just getting this feeling that's telling you, no, not tonight. That's your stop go intuition. So it's kind of that gut feel that lets you know whether something is right for you or not. Then the second type of intuition we have is our creative flow. So that's when we get all these downloads and ideas, inspiration. That's that kind of feeling that tells you go to the coffee shop, just go, and you follow that, right? Or why don't you phone that person who you spoke to last week and pitch your idea to them? It's that kind of thing. It's that same kind of voice that tells you, why don't you create your own healing program? It's that kind of voice. That's the creative flow. That's that type of intuition. And then the third is the one that's deeply connected with your soul path. So this involves your higher knowing, your learning, your unique lessons, right? And as you deepen your relationship with your intuition, you'll find that these different types of intuition show up in different ways, right? When we're talking about your soul path, that's really what are the lessons you've come to learn and embody? Because a lot of people teach that it's the same for everyone, and it's not. It's really you have your own unique lesson, your own unique curriculum. And when you work with your intuition and understand which type is showing up when, you really know how to move and flow with it. All right, so before we get into the exercise, I'm just going to go over the 5 key qualities of intuition. So you really get a feel for what your intuition is. And that is number 1, it's subtle, it's not pushy, it's consistent, it leaves you feeling relaxed or relieved, and it's the disruptor. Okay, so what I'm going to invite you to do now is we're going to move on to the exercise. And because we've been sitting for a little bit, what I'm going to invite everybody to do is take a moment. I'm just going to stop sharing for now. I'll start sharing again soon. Is to just take a moment and stand up. And what you want to do is maybe just shake your body a little bit and really shake your hips. And the reason why we want to shake and move our bodies a little bit is because we've been stagnant for a while. We've been sitting in our seats. And remember what I said earlier, truth moves you. It gets you to take action. When you know something's not going to work for you and you're in the wrong place, you know that you got to get out of there. It's going to move you. So we want to get into that same kind of energy. When we're sitting in the same energy, that's when we're sitting in patterns, right? That's when we're sitting in the loop of the mind. So a good practice is to just start moving your body more, letting the energy flow. All right. So I'm going to ask you to do that for about 30 seconds. And when you can feel that there's a bit more of an energy flow in your body, I'm going to invite you to sit down. Okay, just making sure everybody's got a good seat. Awesome. So I'm going to guide you through an exercise that's going to help you connect with your intuition. But before we do that, I'd like us to focus on the question that we're going to ask and to keep it simple and so that we have something that we can work with that is easy to work with. Since we are near the end of 2025, we're already in December. For those of you who follow numerology or are interested in the Chinese zodiac, we know it was the year of the snake. So a lot of patterns, a lot of shedding, a lot of having to face some really deeper patterns and structures within ourselves and things that we really need to let go of, things that we don't really want to take with us. And numerology says it's a year 9. So it's even more that energy of closing things and ending things is even more prevalent, right? Next year, we're moving into a year 1. And from a numerology perspective, everything moves in cycles of 9, right? So next year being a year 1, it's the perfect opportunity to really seed in a fresh intention. So because we want to look more to the light, the question that I'm going to invite you to use is, what thing do you need to do or embody your ideal self in 2026? So, what thing do you need to do to embody your ideal self in 2026? And that thing could come up in a lot of different ways. Maybe it's an action, maybe we'll see what your intuition comes up with, right? I don't want to preempt too much. So, what thing do you need to embody your ideal self in 2026? Everybody clear on the question? Okay, awesome. So, the first thing we need to understand about intuition is we need to be receptive to it, right? We need to be receptive to it. And to be receptive, we need to be in our bodies. A lot of the time, when we want to receive things from reality, we need to realize that it's a physical reality. And to receive that, we need to be grounded and present in our body, because that's what physical reality requires of us. So, a really good way to do that is, yes, meditation, and a really grounded meditation. But I'm going to give you a different way to do this, because I know a lot of you are very familiar with the school and the way the school works in terms of rooting and grounding. That's a great way to do that. But what I'm going to teach you now is a way that you can do where you don't have to maybe sit in a space and close your eyes and ground that way. I'm going to invite you to, just for now, take a deep breath into your belly. And you can close your eyes if you'd like to, but you don't have to. And take a deep breath into your belly and really feel it filling up your hips. And like the belly breath is so deep that it's filling up your belly and your back. Then you really know you've got it. And then just take a slow exhale. And one more time, doing that deep belly breath. And a slow exhale. Good. Can feel how there's a lot more presence now. So I'm going to invite you to open your eyes. And I'm going to guide you through this, but you're going to choose 3 objects. And you're going to do it one by one. So take a look around the space that you're in. It can be at your desk if you're sitting at your desk. It can be somewhere in front of you. And pick the first object that your eye rests on, that your eyes rest on. And I'm going to use this Palo Santo stick that I've got here. And I'm going to invite you to first name the object. And I'm going to invite you to speak it aloud. Don't name it in your head. You want to speak it because you want to really acknowledge its existence and its presence. So you'll go, it's a Palo Santo stick, and then start describing it. So the texture is sort of hard, but still kind of soft for wood. It's got different colors, and it's a bit lighter here, and then here's a bit of a darker brown. And so when you're describing your object, again, speak it out loud. This is to really help you get into your body. So we're doing object 1 at the moment. Use your voice. Good. Really staying present and focused with that object when you're describing it. And now move on to your second object. Same thing. Name it and describe it. Good. And now finally do the same thing with the third object. Again, naming it, really looking at it, really becoming present with it and describing it. It is the only thing in your reality at the moment. Good. Now notice how your body has relaxed more in the moment. Most of you will notice a subtle shift in you being more present in your physical reality. If you can give me a thumbs up if that's happened for you, that would be great. Awesome. Lovely. Okay, so great. I love that thumbs up. So now we're going to move to emptying out. So we first cultivated presence. Now we want to empty out. So I'm going to invite you to see in front of you a big birthday cake with a whole bunch of candles on it. Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to blow out those candles. So I'll demonstrate for you so you can see. I'm seeing a big birthday cake in front of me. There's a whole bunch of candles. I'm going to take a deep breath in, and then I'm going to blow out those candles. And then you're going to do that 3 times. Deep breath in, see those candles in front of you, and activate that 5-year-old whose birthday it is, and you really want to blow out all of those candles. Do that 3 times. Deep breath in. Let's go for a first time if you haven't already. And blow out your imaginary candles. And one more time. Deep breath in. And focus your intention. Blow out those imaginary candles. And one final time. Beautiful. So can you see how your body's gone into even deeper presence now? Now I'm going to invite you to place your hand on your chest where your heart is. Now we want to do a bit of a heart activation. And remember what I said to you earlier about intuition leaving you with a sense of relief, right? And when we feel that relief, what we often do is, there's that exhale, and it's that voiced exhale. So now with your hand on your heart or in the center of your chest, I'm going to invite you to really give yourself feel that relief and go, and do that 3 times. Breathe in and another time. Breathe in and good. One final time. Breathe in and I really want you to pay attention because I'm going to guide you through this. We're going to link these steps that I've taught you. So close your eyes and think of your question. What thing do you need to embody your ideal self in 2026? What thing do you need to do to embody your ideal self in 2026? Now take that deep breath in and then blow out your candles. And then on your next inhale, when you exhale, exhale from your heart with a and notice what answer comes up. No judgment, just noting it. Now again, deep breath in. Think of your question and blow out your candles. And then exhale. What answer comes up? And one final time, think of your question. Just take that deep breath in. Blow out your candles. Exhale from your heart. And notice what answer comes up. Now, if you have a notebook with you, I'm going to invite you to write down that answer. And when you write it down, speak it out loud. So, what's really important with our intuition is we want to give it a voice. We want to make it exist. It's too often that we dismiss it, we avoid it. It's subtle. So, we have to give it a voice. So, whatever came through, whether it makes sense, whether it doesn't make sense, whether it's a simple word, whether it's a feeling, whatever it is, speak it out loud. Take a moment to do that right now. Speak it out loud to yourself. Your brain, you need to hear it, right? Just like you did with your objects and you confirmed its existence, you want to confirm the existence of what just came through for you intuitively. I'm going to give you about a minute to do that, or just under a minute. And once we've done that, I'm going to ask a couple of you to please share. So you'll bring that into the space, and then we'll move on to a little bit of announcements and questions at the end. Couple more seconds. Dogwood spirituality. Lovely. Sacred hawk. Okay, so I'm going to invite you to share what came up for you in the space. I know sometimes that can be a little bit frightening, especially if it maybe doesn't make sense or if it's broad but I'm going to invite you to trust your intuition is going to work with you based off what you're ready to hear, right? And the more you work with it, the information becomes more more complex, or it goes deeper and it gives you deeper guidance. So it's like training a muscle. Okay, who would like to be unmuted and share? Cindy, I hope you can help me with this, or do I need to unmute
I
someone?
can, they can unmute themselves. It's self-empowering.
I love
They
that.
just need to push their microphones.
Okay, so what I always like to say to my clients and the students is when you feel it's your moment, trust it. Now is a perfect opportunity to also trust that intuition, right? So if you feel you'd like to speak, Erica, I see your hands up. Please do unmute yourself and go ahead.
Three things. Sales. So sales. So I sense make sure your sales are up and the wind will catch them. So for me, that means basically show up and the
Mhm.
wind will be there. Um,
Mhm.
Orbit. I saw something and to me it felt like check your orbit. So what are you orbiting? What is your focus? What is got your attention? Where is your energy directed towards? So keep on checking your orbit. And then the last one was rings or hoops. And I feel a sense of constriction and stress when I think of jumping through hoops. So for me, that then feels like beware of these things. Don't make yourself jump through hoops. Don't let yourself be constricted. Beware
Mhm.
of the rings and the hoops.
Mm, lovely. That's very clear guidance that came through there. I would keep that for next year and see how it plays out, right?
I absolutely will.
Lovely. Who else would like to share? Rose, I see your hand is up.
Mm.
Please do.
I put to honor and be true to myself in all my decisions, whilst being considerate to the others concerned.
Oh,
Ah, lovely.
beautiful.
That's really lovely. Lovely
Mm.
energy. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share?
Joe.
Penelope, is that a hand, Penelope? Please do unmute yourself and do bring a voice into the space. And then Joe. Sorry, Joe, I missed you.
Okay. All right. Mine is divine right. We're all born with a powerful divine right within us to step forward, to share, inspire, and we need to, and to also understand that we are very, very powerful, and we need to realize that.
Okay. So that's really beautiful. Remember, it's coming for you. So I know you use we there, but it's really sounds like that's a really empowering message for yourself, which is great.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Joe.
So, so mine was quite visceral to start with. It was very much this feeling of jumping, and that jumping being a little bit scary, but also funny as well and joyful. And so that sense of like jumping in to something, jumping in um and then like if I'm on a slide, kind of letting go of the side. So jumping in, letting go. And then the third was a little bit different. It was more words. It was be green in body. And I don't know exactly what that is, so I'll go away and just sit with that for a bit, I think.
Lovely. I think it can mean multiple things. What I
Yeah.
think is so great about what you shared was that there was that even that little fear, and even because it was this visceral experience that you had, right? And even though there was that fear, there was still that jump. So it just sounds like your intuition is really reminding you, even if there's that fear, because it brought in that aspect to go regardless, which is really beautiful because it's often our fears are very mind-based, right? And that's when we get stuck in the mind. Lovely. Thank you for sharing, Joe. Alrighty. Anyone else care to share? Yes, Carrie.
My office meeting. So my first, it said, be in nature and live with elephants. So there we go.
That's so unique. That's the intuition speaking. You can't.
Followed by have fun and boundaries. So there we go. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I love that.
So if I can just invite the metaphor for elephants, or the literal, like pack up everything and go and walk with the elephants.
Can I do both?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Shall we have one or two more people? Anyone else care to share? I can't see everybody. So
Tatiana can go next.
Okay.
So yeah, there we go. Sorry, I pronounced that so badly.
That's
Sorry.
okay, don't worry. So I saw sort of cultivate calm, peace, and fun. I saw two particular friendships that should cultivate, and a lot of active kind of work, fun in fun places. So that felt good. But I then did see a sort of like a rugged stone in the middle of like smallest rocks. I'm not quite sure what to make of that, but I'll be thinking about what that stone signifies.
Okay, lovely. It sounds like you got a lot of clarity that comes through there. Maybe it's not clear on exactly what it means. And sometimes the intuition does take a little bit of time. So it's giving you the vibration and the feeling and what you need to know right now. And because your intuition's connected to your soul, right? It's being in communion with your soul. It's connected to the divine. It works on divine timing. So the mind wants now. I need to know right now, right? Wants answers, constriction, organization. Intuition works on divine timing, and divine timing is how much you're flowing with your soul. So I would say that create that relationship more, work more with the soul, be more in communion with the soul. Then the timing moves as well. All right, one more person, and then we'll eventually move on to questions and ending off for the evening. Anyone else? Cindy, is there someone I'm perhaps missing here?
No, not at all.
Sue's got her hand
Oh,
up.
Sue's put her hand up. Thank you. Thank you, Erica. I missed that. Hello,
Yes.
Sue. If you can unmute yourself. There we go.
Yeah, I got nothing. And it said it 3 times. And the last time it was followed by just be yourself.
What does that mean to you? So you got a very clear just be yourself, but that nothing is in itself guidance, right?
Yeah. I think it's that I'm always thinking I ought to be doing something, self-development, doing more, trying to.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's a goal but I don't know what the goal is.
Yes. Yes. Well, there we go. And you see what's lovely about what's just happened, everyone, is when you speak it and you start speaking it aloud and you start going, this is what it opens it up. So I'm always going to encourage you, when you get an intuitive hit, say it, give it a voice, right? Make it real, make it exist. And once you start speaking it, it becomes more real. Okay.
And although it says nothing, it's not actually nothing, if that makes sense.
100%.
Whereas I've always thought, if I don't do anything, nothing will happen because I'm not doing anything, rather than thinking actually nothing is just going with the flow.
Yes, exactly that. Lovely. What a lovely insight.
Spaciousness.
Yeah.
All
Beautiful
right, so we're going to do
spaciousness.
a little bit of admin now. I'm going to share my screen one more time, and I'm going to invite you to take the opportunity to, if you would like to connect with me, to take a screenshot of the next slide that I'm putting up. If you can see that, and that is where you'll find my website. If you're interested in doing deeper work like this, really being in communion with your soul and getting this guidance on a daily basis for 2 weeks. Some of you I know in the space have already journeyed with me like this, but I'm going to be doing this challenge again. There's no reason you can't do it again. Is we're going to be doing it for 2 weeks where you're going to get guidance from your soul on maybe your love life, your career, money. And I would say people who've done it before, you're likely to go even deeper. One of my clients who did this intuition in action challenge the first time we did it earlier this year, she started getting a lot of vivid dreams, lots of vivid dreams when she did it. And her dreams started showing her that there was this toxic connection in her life, and that the toxic connection was actually draining energy from her and what she wanted to do for herself creatively. And she got a real strong knowing that she actually needed to end that relationship. And so she did. And 3 months later, she finally released her first EP, which is like her first short little album. So again, intuition's the disruptor, right? So the guidance that you're getting, if you're looking for career guidance, it actually might be in a relationship area where something's not working. Okay. So your intuition is going to give you exactly what you need to hear. So if you'd like to do that, I am going to be doing a special rate for everyone who is in this space right now. I just want to add the link in the chat so you'd have access to that.
And Taryn, that's going to go out with the recording tomorrow as well. So if you miss it in the chat, you can pick it up in the recording email that will go out tomorrow.
Perfect. And then if you're keen on knowing about the vessel, you could message me or link to my website. And then I do psychic readings and tarot readings, and I have special rates till the end of the year. So if you'd like to join in on that, please do reach out to me. And then, of course, I do the energy healing course with the school as well as the psychic development course. So those are the ways that you can connect and work with me. It's been a blessing connecting with you today and sharing this with you and being in communion with you like this. And now we'll move on to any questions, anything that's come up for you, anything that you'd like to ask. Final opportunity to take a screenshot of this. The link is in the chat for Intuition in Action.
Just to say to people, we are taking applications for the healing course starting in March. Please get your applications in. We already got a whole lot of people. And then also there's some things coming in where we're gifting 25% on some of our courses. So have a look at that. So questions.
Yes, Louise. I saw Louise's hand up first. Can't hear you though. Is it just
Is
me?
that better?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Sorry. So I've done one course through the school very recently, and it's something that I kind of feel pulled towards doing, but I feel like I get kind of all of these people in the spaces and how, they've had all these kind of experiences, like yourself when you were younger and that kind of thing. And although I haven't really had that, but I still feel that this is something. So this is where I wanted to find my intuition over my mind kind of thing, is this where I should be going down my path, or where, that kind of thing. Is that something that, I can work through that way?
What do you mean exactly?
Well, so I don't know whether this is the path that I should be on. So because obviously, like you say, people are like, oh my goodness, you're a little bit weird when, wanting to do this kind of thing, right? Is it my brain telling me that I should be not doing it, or is it my intuition telling me I should be doing it? And is that kind of something that I need to then work on to kind of work through myself? I don't know whether that's kind of why I was here tonight, just to kind of listen a little bit better.
I hear you, Louise. So what I would do is, we got a lot of information tonight on like how the intuition works, right? So I'd first ask you, what is the most consistent message that comes through for you? When you ask yourself, should I do this type of work or not? What is that kind of consistent voice that comes through? What is that for you? First thing that comes to mind.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. Regardless of how other people look at, what I'm doing, I think it's been in my head now for about a year.
Okay. So it's consistently been there, right? Has it been telling you, Louise, if you don't do this, this is the worst thing that you'll be doing with your life? Has it been doing that?
It's just a nag in my head. It's like, just get on and do it. Just, stop stalling. Don't be scared, kind of. Just
Yes,
do
but
it.
it's not bullying you. So there sounds like there's a persistence to it, right? So I would say your intuition is speaking to you. But again, what I would suggest is maybe sit back, do the exercise again, and ask that specific question. Because if I were to tell you, yeah, Louise, you should be doing it, it would be coming from me. And you need to be, what's more empowering is for you to go do the exercise and really feel it in yourself. Does that make sense? But what I would say is, I feel like your intuition is nudging you. I would go and do these exercises again and really feel into that. How does that sound?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
Pleasure. I have no idea who is next. So please excuse me if there was a specific. Is there a way to see an order, Cindy?
Yeah, I'll call them up. Michelle, do you want to unmute yourself?
Okay. Hi, Cindy.
Hello, nice to see you.
And Taryn. I just wanted some clarity. Okay. I did speak to my teachers about it in any case. In my last class in mediumship, I was perfectly doing the reading, and all of a sudden I felt a change in the energy. My ears didn't, I don't know how to explain. And then I stopped. So Donna asked me, why are you stopping? I said to him, because I know if I carry on further, it's my ego that's doing the reading, because I pictured myself from the first picture and the visual I saw, I was adding on. So that, and then I stopped and I thought, no, this is not from my heart. This is not from spirit. This is my ego.
Okay. And
so now I've got this have inner fighting with the ego, my soul, and it's like kind of nerve-wracking. Should I carry on with mediumship? Should I not? And then I asked Donna this morning, what must I do? So she said, just take a break. You've got until January to decide.
So I think Donna's advice is stellar. But when I hear you also speak around going, I'm fighting. Who's fighting? Is it the mind that's fighting?
My mind, yeah, mind.
So remember, what are you listening to? Okay, we want to really separate. This is actually the mind at play, and this is actually the intuition. So again, look at those 4 characteristics. And this is why I say you want to understand the vibration of intuition. Because the more that it's consistent, it's not pushy, it's a subtle voice, right? And if I'm hearing fighting energy, that doesn't sound like it's coming from the intuition. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How does that feel when I say that to you?
Now I feel calm.
Okay. And remember what we spoke about intuition leaves you feeling relaxed and relieved. Whereas before, when you were asking that question, you're like, we were in the mind space. Can you see the difference between the two?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. There we go.
Okay.
Pleasure, Michelle. Cindy, who is next?
We're going to Rachel H. Hello, Rachel. Nice to see you.
Everyone, hi. I've got a question and I wasn't sure whether this is the suitable course for me to take or the next step for me to take, because I'm an extreme vivid dreamer, so I receive messages a lot through my dreams, and then my practitioner was interpreting some, and then I get my great grandmother, who I've never met or know what she looks like, came into a dream, and I wanted to ask her. In my dream, I wasn't using my mouth. I was in my dream in bed, and I saw her, and I got some answers. But as soon as I wanted to open my mouth, it all went away. And my practitioner said to me, "Oh, you don't need to use your mouth to speak." And so my guidance is that she would think it's beneficial for me to basically practice my telepathic skills and use my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother wants me to use her as a practice ground. But ever since then, I'm finding it difficult because I naturally want to speak. But I have thoughts. And my question to my practitioner was, well, how do I know what messages are coming through that are her messages if I'm awake and conscious, and they're not messages, they're messages that from her, but they're thoughts from her that are coming through in my mind, or my own thoughts. Like, how do I distinguish between the two? So I've been trying to practice it, and my practitioner was she said it can be a little bit challenging to discern between the two, but she said usually it's when you're like questioning or doubting, that's from your ego. It's usually your first, the gut, the first thing that comes into your mind. But, I've been asking the question, like, are you here with me, to my great grandmother, and just using my senses to try and figure out if she's around. But I still struggle a bit. So yeah, I don't know whether doing something like this would help me. What you're offering.
Okay, so there sounds like there's a lot of different layers in terms of that. So do you want to understand your intuition and how your intuition works on a deeper level, if that's the case?
Yeah.
Because what I would say when you're asking that question, right, the question that you asked, and you want to know, because it sounds like you want guidance on whether you can even use your voice in your dreams, if that's the right thing, and you're seeking that from your practitioner. And when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing that your intuition and your soul wants you to work in your unique way. So what I would say in terms of that's intuition in action can help you do that, because it's going to help you hone your intuitive capabilities, because you're going to be practicing it. So it's going to give you that. But what I would say from another perspective, in terms of hearing you analyze your dreams, I might change the question around your grandmother, right? Instead of maybe asking her, "Are you here with me now?" I would suggest asking her to give you some sort of symbol or sign or some sort of feeling that she is with you. Because when we go into those kind of yes, no kind of questions, think of the brain, right? It goes into that polarization. And then it's very easy to often slip in the mind. And I think when you open up the question a little bit more, it's going to allow you to relax a little bit more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sorry. I think the first question I did ask was, give me a sign. And then and I kind of forgot about that after a few weeks that I said it like that. But yeah, I asked, like, give me a sign that you're, you know, around. Give me something to let me know that you're around. And I felt like a temperature change around me.
That's good. That's good. So
yeah.
you got information, right? And now what was key about what you said was you forgot about it. And this is why earlier I said give your intuitive hits a voice, right? The sooner you can write them down, the sooner you speak them, the better for you. Rachel, I would suggest clicking on that link that I posted in the chat and then having a look at intuition in action and seeing if it will help you. But if you'd like, you can also chat to me a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. And then I
And
think
then we have Penny, Penelope. Hello.
Hi there. Okay, I've been listening to everybody, and I think part of my question has been answered, but I'm doing obviously the energy healing, which has been amazing, and it has now branched out into various other pathways. With intuition, when I'm giving, we had a clairvoyance. I've been going to the clairvoyance events, and I've been giving quite a lot of messages, and majority of it's been good. What I'd like to know is, before going in, I'm very calm when I'm there at the table. So if I have to give a message to someone, my energy heightens, and it becomes, I've become completely into the zone, and I'm not sure. And then afterwards, I find that I can't remember what I was saying to the person. So I don't understand where the intuition is. Let's say I'm giving intuition to you, Cindy. I mean, a message to you. I'm giving it to you, and I'm talking to you, and I say, okay, fine, that's finished. And then, but now then I don't remember what I have said to you. So I don't get where that space where the intuition comes in, because it starts to rise quite a bit. And once I'm finished with my message or anything that I really want to do, then I'm calm afterwards. But the energy heightens.
Okay.
And the skin becomes burning, and it becomes very tingly. In fact, I feel my hair and all sorts of things. So I don't know if energy and intuition is interlinked.
So what I would say, I mean, I would teach that everything is essentially energy, right? Sadness is a type of energy. Joy is a type of energy. It's just like when we're working with energy, what are we encoding it with, right? We can, when we talk about transmuting something, we can have something that's dense and heavy, but we transmute that energy into something that's lighter. So that's on the energy aspect. What I'm hearing, and I want to make this distinction, is it's something important to understand. The way I'm teaching intuition is really about you and your connection and your path. But then we go deeper. Your intuition allows you to connect to other capabilities, right? Which is our mediumship ability, our psychic ability. And when I'm listening to you, it sounds like you may be channeling something. I would love Cindy's input on this, but that's the sense that I'm getting, which is why you're also feeling a shift in energy, because that is giving me a clue that there's some sort of different vibration that you're working with, and would also explain to me perhaps why you're not remembering, right?
Especially if Penelope is working with those that have passed over. That can be something that happens, but always check. And if that is doing, we have the mediumship classes where Donna is instrumental in teaching, bringing through those loved ones in a way that you are still, that you don't forget everything. But there are times where a certain amount of channeling, etc. So I think the various forms, and I'm not going to go into, because I could sit and talk about this for another half an hour. But maybe pop in and have a chat with Larry or Donna around that, around the mediumship.
Okay, thank you.
We've got time for one more quick one, and there's also something in the chat, Taryn. So I don't know, Anna. Hi.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hello.
I have a simple question. How to avoid the brain being too loud versus our intuition and drowning it out.
Yes, the thing we always struggle with. Okay, so these, you say it's a quick question, but so first thing, people don't like this answer. Practice, 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 practice. A lot of the time, people don't want to hear that, right? We do live in a physical reality, and a lot of the time, things when we get better at something when we practice it, when we have a routine around it, and we make the decision to work with it. The same comes with really listening to your intuition and honing your skills with it. Now, to make the mind quiet, it really depends, right? It depends on you could shift, you want to shift your energy in your body, and you can either do that through meditating, you can do that through breath, and you can do that through dancing, moving your body, right? But there are sometimes when maybe you're really having a difficult day and your mind is really reeling and it's just there, right? What I would say is what a lot of people do is they push against it. They're like, here's this. Just let it be. Let it exist. When we push against something, we're creating another force against it, right? And when we create that other force, that's another extra energy. It's an extra charge against something. If you are in that space where you've tried to shift your energy through the other methods that I've mentioned and you can't, rather just let it be and realize whatever is playing out in the mind sometimes just needs to play out in the mind. And maybe the timing isn't correct for you to be receptive to an intuitive message just yet. I sometimes see a lot of clients when they start working with me, they want to get they want answers. Where's that coming from? It's often from the ego, right? It's often from that place of fear, like I need to know now. What I would rather suggest focusing on is what I've shared today, doing the type of exercise that we have now, because what that's gonna do, it's gonna cultivate a receptivity in your body, right? And you want your body to be more receptive to intuitive messages. And at some point, it's gonna shift to a point where even when your mind is busy, because you've cultivated an awareness around what your intuition is saying to you, you'll be able to feel it. Does that answer your question? Okay, lovely.
And then there's one from Carrie who said, you mentioned we like boxes. How do we work with someone whose mind is already extremely non-linear? Does this change the intuition process?
So firstly, we're not going to be listening to the mind anyway, right? So if you remember that slide, we had like either boxes or loops. So sometimes I can be in my mind and then very organized, but then sometimes I can get into those loops and my mind is this, and then it goes there and it gets scattered. And that's when our mind is in that space of that polarization and we're moving from one space to the other space to the other space. So the same principles apply, right? Then we're in the mind. Then we're listening to the mind. So what's key here is if you're asking a question like that, it's very likely you're listening to the mind. If you're going, how can I avoid the mind? You're already listening to it. It's already active. Then I would invite you to go to the space of going, okay, so if intuition is subtle, what I'm actually wanting to perceive is something that's subtle. If it's not pushy, that's what you're wanting to perceive. Does that make sense? And if there's an intuitive knowing or my intuition is speaking to me, it's going to help me feel relaxed. If I'm in that space around the mind, I need to shift my energy. So I'd say you need to find a way that you can shift your energy and find a more receptive state. So long-winded way of saying, whether your mind is scattered or looped and goes in a whole bunch of directions versus in a straight line and wants to organize and categorize, I would just say it's different ways of doing the same thing. You're still in the energy of the mind. And the key thing is here to be in the energy of your intuition and listening to that.
What a beautiful way to wrap up the evening. So thank you for the great questions. Thank you for showing up. Somebody asked for if it was possible that we could have a card. I don't think this evening, it's not about the cards tonight. It's about really listening inside. Taryn, what a lovely, insightful evening. I've learned some things just looking at intuition from a different lens, which I think has been very helpful for the community. Just looking at the structure behind that. So thank you very much, and everybody. It's been so lovely to see you all. Thank you for showing up. And you'll be hearing from us. I don't think we've got any masterclasses until next year. So please be safe. Please be in your heart space. Please be kind and only accept kindness.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank you,
beautiful
everyone. Take care. Bye.